Hello and welcome to Wednesday Warfare, where I review NXT and AEW Dynamite back-to-back and try and figure out which show won for the week. If the numbers come in on Thursday and they are half as good as they normally are in the face of Game 7 of the World Series, I'm going to be totally flabbergasted. Speaking of Thursday, later this morning, sometime after this video comes out, I'll be hosting my first WWE 2K20 live stream. Yes, I know what I'm getting into potentially with this game. That's part of the fun. But yes, it will be a charity live stream. It'll go at least 4 hours or so is what I'm predicting. The super chat donations will directly benefit the Fit Ops Foundation. And if you want to check it out, it's going to start sometime between 9:30 and 10 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be covering the My Career mode, do some showcase stuff, and whatever else suits my fancy. So come check it out Thursday morning, 2K20 live stream. What's the worst that could happen? NXT opens up with a live performance by Poppy, who's been a part of NXT through her music for the last several months now. This didn't really do much for me. I don't really like live concerts in wrestling as a general rule, though I think it was cool, though, that it led to her live introduction for Io Shirai. She's in the opening matchup against Candice LeRae, a very physical contest. These two have a lot of history together, so a lot of back and forth. They really know the answers to each other's offense. Candice does get a bloody nose at one point in the match, though. Io brings in a chair, but she's thwarted. Candice goes for a lion salt, but she eats the chair instead. Io pins and wins. Great opening matchup. You know, matches like this, to me, really showcase just how much NXT's women's division just completely outclasses AEW's. I think that, you know, there's some women in AEW who are good, and by and large, their action's okay, but like if you compare the women's matches from one show to the next, there really is no comparison. NXT's is usually head and shoulders above the rest. After the match, Io goes for some more damage, but Rhea Ripley makes a save. Not the last time we'll be seeing any of these ladies by the end of the night. We learn that Pete Dunne and Damian Priest are going to have a rematch next Wednesday night. Then Finn Balor shows up to break his silence about what happened last week. And you know that you're in for a dramatic speech when you get the one spotlight on the heel amidst the darkness. We've seen that kind of visual a lot with heel promos lately. You know, he talks about 2 months ago, he had laid down for the hottest thing in the business because he had a new mask on. Now he's the hottest new thing in the business. You could tell that Triple H had a heavy hand in writing this promo because so much reference of the business, also taking shots at like Twitter trolls and, you know, keyboard warriors and stuff like that in the promo as well. Yeah, very insider, very wink kind of thing. He threatens Johnny Gargano, saying that if you cross me again, then I'll put you back in the hospital, and he'll go from Johnny Wrestling to Johnny Watches Wrestling. It's a pretty succinct promo. I liked Finn's delivery in it. You could tell he really kind of believes in what he's saying here. But my only problem was I really don't like it when promos get really insider. I think that there's other ways to get heat in a promo, even in this, you know, this dead kayfabe era we live in today. I think there's better ways to really elicit a reaction in promos than like just bringing up what they say on the internet. Up next, Shane Thorne taking on Bronson Reed. It's a good little match, but not a whole lot of heat to it. It's just two guys who are kind of floating in the ether right now in NXT without a particular angle or storyline to really drive what they're doing. Bronson wins the match after a big boy splash from the top rope. Like I said, good little matchup here. I hope to see one or both of these guys doing more in terms of storyline stuff in the near future. We get a pre-match promo from Team Knee Brace, that's Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. Then they challenge the Kabuki Warriors for the Women's Tag Team Championships. The first time that those belts have been defended on NXT, and also a bit of a homecoming for Asuka and Kairi Sane, who of course had a lot of success on NXT before getting called up. This is a great match, by the way. You know, Dakota, or I said Tegan, I should say, taking a lot of punishment before the hot tag to Dakota Kai, and she's, you know, House of Fire and everything. The match ends when Asuka sprays Dakota with the green mist, but the referee doesn't see it. Kairi with the insane elbow to win, and the champions retain. The one little nitpick I have in this thing, I think it'd be nice to see Asuka winning some more, of the team winning more matches without the poison mist. It's a good way to get heat, but after a while, it becomes kind of predictable. Kind of the same way you see that, you know, every Andrade match ends with Zelina Vega cheating and then the Hammerlock DDT. We're seeing a lot of that repetition where the Kabuki Warriors are always winning with the green mist. It's nice, but I'd like to see something like that get busted out on more of a rare occasion than every single time they wrestle at this point. Anyway, after the matchup, Shayna and friends they approach the ring. They start beating down Nox and Kai for a bit. Out comes Rhea Ripley. She starts walking down until Io Shirai attacks her. Out come Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae. We get a big lady brawl happening in the middle of the ring. But then GM William Regal appears in his ivory tower. The spotlight comes on him as he's on the balcony area, and then he just announces War Games, and he leaves. That, by the way, that'd be a great side hustle for William Regal, to show up to large gatherings or parties, bellow War Games, and then leave. Easy money. Anyway, that's the big gist of this moment here. The first ever Women's War Games match has been announced, and it looks like it's going to be Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, and Dakota Kai versus Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and I'm guessing one of the other horsewomen, either Duke or Shafir. It should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. A couple of weeks ago, I was openly wondering on this segment, what are they going to do with all these ladies? Turns out a lot of you predicted Women's War Games, and that's what we're getting. Tyler Bate takes on Cameron Grimes here. It's a follow-up to last week's skirmish they had at ringside after the Pete Dunne match, where Tyler Bate was at ringside watching from the crowd. And this is a wonderful match. I think the real sleeper hit of the night is this particular match here. They had a lot of time to work and show what they could do. In the end, a brief distraction by Killian Dane on the outside is all it takes for Cameron to capitalize and beat Tyler in the match. Then afterward, Dane puts more of a hurt on Tyler Bate, tells him to say hi to Pete Dunne for him, and he leaves. And I wonder if he's going to play into the finish of the Pete Dunne-Damian Priest match next week. In your main event, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly of the Undisputed Era defend the NXT tag titles against the makeshift team of Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. This is another solid match by these guys here. Cole and Strong show up to try and cause some mischief, but Riddle takes them out. Lee pounces into Cole, who then flies into Roderick Strong, which is especially awesome to see. The high-low on Riddle in the ring for the Undisputed Era to retain. It's nice that the established team got over on the Thrown Together team for a change in WWE. More Era beatdown after the match. Tommaso Ciampa runs in, makes a save. The three of them, he and Lee and Riddle, all beat up on O'Reilly in the ring, and Keith Lee picks up Kyle, just heaves him to the outside onto the rest of the Undisputed Era. And then Ciampa looks longingly at Goldie as we fade to black. Pretty solid ending. The match itself was okay, but to me, kind of a foregone conclusion, because I didn't think that the Undisputed Era were going to lose the tag belts to this, again, kind of a makeshift team. Dynamite opens up with a shot of the tarmac in Charleston. You see Tony Schiavone greeting Cody outside the private jet. Dustin Rhodes is there as well. They kind of all go their separate ways, and Tony is with Cody as they make their way to the arena for the contract signing. We'll be seeing more of them later in the night. We then get a recap of what happened after the show went off the air last week, when Hangman Page basically called out Pac for a rematch at Full Gear, and then we see this confrontation, or we hear the audio of the confrontation between Moxley and Tony Khan over the fact that their match with Moxley and Kenny Omega at Full Gear has now been turned into an unsanctioned match. And we'll hear more from Moxley as well about that as well in this night. The opening match, Sammy Guevara versus Hangman Page. Kind of surprised that during the ring introductions, they didn't say, Sammy was representing the Inner Circle, like in the proper Justin Roberts announcements. It's kind of a small, nitpicky thing, but to try and get the group over more, would be nice to have that incorporated. Oh, but the group will get over more as the show goes on. Really entertaining opener for AEW's show this week. Both guys showing a lot of agility in the ring. Ultimately, Page wins with the buckshot, and then afterward he gets a very short and sweet promo where he says that he's going to do some cowboy shit at Full Gear and take Pac's head off. So yeah, good way to start the show. Women's match up next as Shanna making her AEW debut against Hikaru Shida, who last we saw was at All Out against Riho. For a first impression, Shanna looked really good here. I knew nothing about her going into this thing, but man, she really impressed me here, really taking Shida to the limit with a lot of near falls. Ultimately, Hikaru wins with the knee to the face, but I love this match. It's funny because I was just a few minutes ago talking trash about how the NXT Women's Division is so much better than AEW's. I still think on the whole that is true, but this match here was a highlight for me of the show on Dynamite. I think they had a really good match, especially between someone who I'm kind of familiar with and one who's a complete unknown to me. She really blew me away in this match. We get a vignette showing Brandy doing some stuff where she's putting on a little black veil, she's got candles, she's got the running mascara, she's summoning Awesome Kong. What is she, a witch now? What the hell's going on between the long point last week and then this stuff they were showing here? I'm like, what is going on with Brandy right now? Chris Van Vliet's on stage and he welcomes the Rock and Roll Express. They're going to be presenting the new AEW tag belts to the winners of the tournament. They get about 2 sentences in when all of a sudden Santana and Ortiz, who are now called Proud and Powerful, jump Rock and Roll Express from behind. They beat him up with a loaded sock, and then there's kill Ricky Gibson, double powerbomb into the stage area, and he goes through the floor. It was just look devastating. And so then the Young Bucks chase Santana and Ortiz away, and Proud and Powerful looking like real shitty heels here by assaulting the Rock and Roll Express. I loved it. Side note, I actually met Ricky and Robert this past weekend. They worked the same APW show that I did. It was a real honor to meet them. I actually did record an interview with them before the show began, and I thought about running it on this channel, obviously, but I looked back at the footage. I'm like, no, it's not up to a standard I want to put on this channel. And that's mostly my fault because I didn't have the best questioning. I actually whiffed on a couple of real easy questions for them. I totally forgot to ask, hey, what was it like to win the NWA tag titles for the 9th time recently? There's some things that I didn't do very well. It didn't look good, didn't sound good, and it was just ultimately like, I don't want to put this on my channel. So sorry, I really wanted to put it up there, but no Rock and Roll Express interview. But you know what? There's always a next time. We get a cutaway to Shivani and Cody in the limo on their way to the arena. Tony regales on a story about Dusty, while Cody says he wants to really make his mother proud in Baltimore because she's going to be there for their match at Full Gear. We then go to a 6-man tag match as John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and QT Marshall take on the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, aka Two Ricks and a Morty. One of the most hyped up things about this week's episode was their crossover or their cross promotion with Rick and Morty. They have some new episodes to put out, and so a bit of a cross promotion there. JR says wubba lubba dub dub during the intros, so there you go. And also, by the way, the Best Friends were introduced by the disembodied voices of Rick and Morty. That's kind of a little touch there. It's a pretty short match. After Orange does his hands and pockets dive to the outside, Storm Zero by the Best Friends to win the match. Take her to leave it, this one, because me personally, I don't watch Rick and Morty. I've never gotten around to it. I've heard good things, but the thing is, I'm already part of one insufferable fan base. I don't have time to be part of two. And the other thing is, anytime that you've got like a cross promotion with like wrestling and pop culture, it's always kind of hit and miss. That no matter what company does it, because it's really hard to distill what makes wrestling so special in the pop culture world, and it's hard to really showcase what makes the pop culture thing so unique and interesting and fun in the wrestling world, if that makes any sense. It's really hard for them to really coagulate, in my opinion. But yeah, if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, you'll have liked this little cross promotion. If you're not, it's time now for that Jericho Cody contract signing on the stage. Tony Schiavone presides over it, and one of my favorite parts of it, Jericho calls him Skiavone. Nice little throwback to WCW there. Jericho talks some trash to Cody. They sign the contract, and then Jericho's like, let's shake hands like men. They shake, but Cody doesn't let go. We then see a live shot in the back, the parking lot area. You see Sammy Guevara's face. He pulls out to reveal that Jake Hager is beating the hell out of Dustin Rhodes. Wait, how did he get to the arena? He went there on his own separate way. Hager's beating him up. We get a knee to the balls, very similar to how his last MMA fight ended, and then he throws him into slams the limo door into Dustin's arm, and the selling there is just so brutal. It's so agonizing to see Dustin in so much pain. I enjoyed this segment. You know, contract signings as a general rule can be pretty flat or one-dimensional or predictable, but I think in this case it was nice because it was good to see the Inner Circle get a leg up on Cody, bit of revenge for what happened last week in the big concession stand brawl, some high drama, good heel work by Jericho and the rest of his crew. No real complaints about this. Time for another 6-man tag as the Elite take on Kip Sabian and the Hybrid 2, which is the new team name for Jack Evans and Angelico. By the way, this match bore the damn clunkiest hashtag I've ever seen. Kenny Omega is dressed as Sans from Undertale, complete with a little intro using the graphics from the game, and incorporate little illustrations of the Young Bucks and Adam Page and Riho and Michael Nakazawa, even a silhouetted Kota Ibushi in there as well. You know, I mean, the whole thing is a reference to a game I've never played and I've only seen a little bit of, have no intention of playing. So, you know, good for him and good for fans of the game. But besides that, went over my head. The Young Bucks are back as Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter though, so at least there's a game with a reference I understand. It's a very fast-paced, high-flying match. I think all these guys really play to each other's strengths in a big way. Ultimately, Kenny wins the match for his team, hitting the one-winged angel on Evans. After the match though, a pair of fans with the Rick and Morty masks shake the Young Bucks' hands, but they don't let go. They unmask to reveal it's not the real Rick and Morty, it's Santana and Ortiz, the proud and powerful, and they start beating up Matt and Nick on the outside in the crowd area. Kenny Omega chases them off, and that's where we leave on that. But yeah, the Inner Circle really looking strong on this night, just beating up everybody. The Librarians appear. Peter Avalon looks dressed to wrestle, but we never get that match because Jon Moxley shows up with the crowd, beats up Avalon, then cuts a scathing promo. He is very frustrated that his match with Omega at Full Gear is now unsanctioned, because that means even if he beats him, it will not have counted. He says you can take the win-loss records and shove them up your ass. Very fiery, very intense promo by Moxley here. He says that Kenny Omega's blood will be on AEW's hands, and he warns anyone who doubts him to kiss his ass and stay out of his way. It was a damn good promo. You know the difference between the Moxley promo and the Finn Balor promo on NXT was, well, Finn Balor had to resort to these insider terms, try and get a rise out of people in his promo and everything, talking about the business and everything. Moxley still got a chance to talk about some things that like fans are railing against, like the win-loss record, for example. The whole wins and losses are going to matter, but some people don't believe that. Like, he got to talk about that, and he got to kind of like lobby some anger at Tony Khan and everything, but he didn't try to insult people's intelligence. He didn't say things like having to lay down, didn't have to say anything like, keyboard warriors or Twitter trolls or whatever. He didn't have to resort to that. I think his felt more real. Like Finn, I think his delivery was good. You believe what he was saying, but Moxley's promo really seemed like it came from the heart. I think that promo was a lot stronger than Finn Balor's promo, in my opinion. In your main event, AEW Tag Team Championship Tournament Finals, as SCU take on the Lucha Brothers, who will be the first tag team champs in the company. Just the Lucha Brothers are just unbelievable in the ring together. It shocks me how like their average match is them just going hard every match, and they just completely blow me away. At one point, Kaz gets powerbombed through the timekeeper's table on the outside. The match ends kind of a surprising way. The Lucha Brothers get ready for their package pile driver double stomp combo when Scorpio Sky actually catches Pentagon, rolls him up in a small package. Kaz gets back in the ring and stops Felix from breaking up the pin, and SCU wins. They are the new and the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. Great way to end the show, and really nice way to kind of end the storyline they've been brewing with these two teams since weeks ago when the tournament was first being announced and the bracket was showing up. From the beginning, you saw this conflict saying, well, here it was kind of telegraphing in a way. Here are what the finals are going to be, is these two teams. And but you know what? They delivered the finals in a really great way, really exciting match, and a really strong main event. Time now for me to decide which show won for the week, NXT or AEW Dynamite. And this week, my pick is going to be AEW. I think overall it was just a stronger, more well-balanced show. I think, you had your action, your drama, your comedy. You did have some weird, like, what the fuck stuff with, like, the Rick and Morty thing and the Brandy vignette. But one of my favorite parts of the show was I loved how the Inner Circle, just the thread of that show, was the Inner Circle just running roughshod and attacking anyone they possibly could. Just really show how evil and devious they are. Also, another tipping point for me was, if we're comparing, like, really captivating solo promos, I think Moxley's was a lot stronger than Finn Balor's. NXT had some great stuff as well. I'm in love with what the women did on NXT overall, and I think that Tyler Bate and Cameron Grimes was the sleeper hit of the show. But overall, I was just more entertained. There was more stuff going on with AEW. I liked the show more. It felt like a faster pace. More things happening in that world right now than what NXT had on this night. But let me know what you thought about NXT and AEW this week in the comments section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better by going to the gimmick in the upper right hand corner of your screen. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.